Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, I certainly try, but there's days, well, I can't do it. But what can I say, John? You know, I wish I could tell jokes like you do. Hey, the economy today. Well, our president is kind of blaming now the feds, saying that's why the stock market is, well, taking a big dump. But on the other hand, you have to look at the tariffs. I think the tariffs has another big part of playing way our economy is going. Hopefully it doesn't burst a bubble or something. I mean, right now, all over Europe, the stock market for them is dropping. China, naturally, their stock market is really taking a dive. And, boy, the hurricane, it came in. A lot of people are homeless, tore off a lot of roofs, did a lot of damage to marinas, to boats, to cars, and a lot of flooding. I don't know. And they keep saying earth changes isn't going to happen yet for, what, another 40 years? Or you can go by what our administration says, about another 100 years. Well, something is going on. Anyway, we have a great guest tonight. If you're into UFOs, we have Charles Van Heyden on, and he'll be on right after this.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
Well, anyway, yeah, I'm still recovering from the flu. I was sick with the flu for about a week and a half. So if you all of a sudden hear me all of a sudden talking and then it goes quiet for a split second, that's because I'm going to have to hit the panic button here. And well, you don't want to hear coughing. Hey, Charles, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Quite well, Gary. Thank you.
Well, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in the general area of Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. How's the weather been over in Nashville?
Oh, we get so much rain. I tell my friends in Portland, Oregon, you think you get rains because you've got the Rose Festival in May. We get about twice as much as you do. And I looked it up I looked it up one day, and sure enough, we get 57 inches, and they get about 30.
Oh, wow.
A year.
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, you better not have a boat in your backyard. It might float away at that rate.
Float away, that's right.
Well, why don't you tell our listenership a little bit about yourself?
Well, sure. I've been writing for almost 11 years now, and quite truthfully, I started back in 1988, but didn't go very far with it for various reasons. I wrote a very short science fiction story and submitted to a online contest and didn't do very well because I was actually in bed with a broken leg. So probably it affected my my literary talents at the time. But after a while, I decided around 10 years ago, I said, I really am an author. I communicate well. And so I decided to write some books. And one of them was called Confessions of an Alien Marooned on Earth. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, you're coming in fine.
Okay. And the interesting thing about the book, it's actually a novella. It's only 160 pages long. But it's 50% true and 50% fiction. And I can't tell you what's the true part. You have to guess after you read it.
So you're making the people who buy the book have to make, flip a coin. Which part is real and which part isn't? Do they read the book?
That's right. That's right. So I finished that book, and a friend read it, and he liked it a lot. In fact, he liked it so much, he decided he was going to be an author, and he started writing his science fiction story, and he's still writing it 10 years later, but he'll finish it eventually.
Well, that's as bad. Honestly, Charles, when I was in junior high school, one of my teachers, said, hey, you take this book home and read it. and it happened to be War and Peace. Well, I sat there and put it on my dresser. I had like a week
Yeah.
a week to read it, and I tell you what I didn't do. I didn't read it. And, then it came up to, have to take a test and tell the class about, the book, what I found interesting. And I sat there and I figured, okay, I got to come up with a good story on this one. So I told the teacher, I said, well, I read all my books in the closet. And the teacher said, okay, that's no problem. And I said, yeah, but there is a problem. There's no light in the closet. So how can you read a book in the closet with no light? And she goes, in other words, you didn't read it. I said, no, I didn't read it. I told you I have no light in my closet. She took that as so funny that she actually gave me a passing grade for not even reading the book.
Well, yeah. Well, teachers still do like a bit of humor in their day.
Well, at least for me, that saved me from, failing another class at that time. But aliens and stuff on this earth, I really have strong suspicions that we do have aliens that are coming and going and maybe even working with our government. And it's just been so many different things, sightings of aliens. Peter Davenport, the UFO Reporting Center, has recently said on my show that he's gotten reports lately across the country of people seeing aliens in weird places. And he's
no doubt. No, it's no longer as to if they exist. It's just how many exist, and where can you go and actually see their manifestations.
I don't know. I myself don't want to see one. It's bad enough seeing my ex-wife about every 10 years.
Well, here's the thing. Now, that first novella was what my friend read, and you know what he said right after he finished it? I'll just tell you because you probably won't guess. He said, it's not finished yet. Chaz. I go by Chaz with my friends.
Okay.
He said, it's not finished yet. It doesn't end. I go, I looked at it and I went, no, you're right. It didn't really end completely. So I wrote a sequel, and it's called Fox and Falcon, and it's 2 out of the 3 novellas, which now I've called as a volume itself called Exile to Earth. I renamed it because I also wrote a script for a movie based on that of 3 books.
Oh, wow. Have you submitted it to any companies yet, motion picture companies?
I have done a bit, but until you have a big name and have something out there, they kind of look at your stuff and they kind of go, well, I don't want to spend $10 million on somebody I don't, they haven't got some kind of track record. So it's been rough. I had my biggest chance was, or my biggest validation was Harvey Weinstein's company got back to me and says, "Oh, we're doing something just like that, Mr. Van Heyden." And I said, "Sure, you didn't even read the script."
Well, maybe they got some ideas from your script when they got it.
Yeah, well, then a couple of years later, out came The Martian, which is my story is a reverse of that story, where he is stranded. Watley, the main character, is stranded by his crew members because they think he's dead. He's on Mars, and they're coming back to Earth, which takes 4.5 months, right? And he's still alive. The antenna went through his suit and plugged the hole, otherwise he'd be dead. Otherwise, all the oxygen would have gone out of his suit. So now he's stranded all by himself on a distant planet. My guy is from another sector of the universe, and he is banished from his planet and comes here, not just, currently, he's been here for quite some time, and he doesn't even know he's an alien until he meets another guy who shocks him one day, temporarily, gets into a nightmare that night, and he goes into this realization, is, my God, no wonder I don't like living here on this earth. I'm an alien, I don't belong here. So that starts the story, is him getting into a whole lot of adventures and figuring out how he's going to either create, develop, or find a way back to his home planet.
Well, that part is interesting. Getting back with our technology, unless he has the capability of designing his own to get back, I think he's got a problem.
Yeah, he did. That's the problem in the book. Actually, the next 250 pages are about how he solves the problem. So, and he's also a aeronautics major in the university, so that helps. He's rubbing shoulders with engineers and scientists and people, and he's always hoping that he'll run into somebody who, well, read the book.
Oh, wow. Getting back to writing screenplays, I had, an author on my show back maybe 2 months ago. He wrote, quite a few for, Star Trek: The Next Generation, and also for, what's that other one they did when they were up on that, Space 9 or whatever that was, one of the...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he said, a lot of times he would sit there and send the script in, they would fly him there, and then they look at it, and then, then they all start rewriting everything, and he got done that, and he goes, wow, it's not even the same story I had to begin with. But I mean, at least it gave him, I guess, an idea for, one of the episodes and stuff like that.
Well, I would say to the listeners, if you're truly interested in getting the grist of the whole thing with aliens and UFOs, is to start with the very first books that were ever written about it. And that's George Adamski's Flying Saucers Are Real in 1953. And then you have this guy, Flying Saucers Have Landed. These are all in the early 50s, just after the sightings and after the Air Force had put together Project Blue Book, and this is always a good recommendation, is to go to the source materials, the earliest materials, because as time progresses, things get, as you can tell by the screenplays that you were talking about, people want to create and get involved and kind of add their little, pieces of wisdom to it, and it sometimes goes off on tangents, and it's no longer the real story.
Yeah. Now, honestly, Charles, what's your feeling? Do you feel like we are being visited by UFOs, and are they walking among us, and are they working with the government? Well,
here's the thing. There's no reason not to expect that there would be some sub rosa, some secretive things going on. I was telling you, I'd tell you later in the show, but I'll tell you now. In 1989, I lived on Martell Avenue in Hollywood with my brother. And I went up on the roof. It was a summer. It was kind of warm. So I went up on the roof. And as I was looking out